Hello and welcome to Why Humans Do That, the psychology of everyday behavior. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. On today's episode, we're tackling a question that I think a lot of our listeners will relate to. Why intelligent people procrastinate?
Yes, that brilliant friend who can't finish their dissertation, the professional with an important email rotting in their drafts, or maybe you staring at a blank document for a project that's due tomorrow.
We've all been there. And the common thinking is that procrastination is about laziness or poor time management. But the science suggests something much more interesting is going on, especially in bright minds.
Exactly. This isn't a character flaw. It's about how an intelligent brain can sometimes misfire. It's a feature, not a bug, that we can learn to manage. So today we're going to break down the top 3 reasons this happens and what to do about it.
All right, let's get into our first big reason: perfectionism, the double edged sword of having high standards.
High standards.
Intelligent people can often visualize a perfect outcome. They see exactly how amazing the final project could be. The problem is the gap between that perfect ideal in their head and the messy reality of starting something from scratch feels enormous.
That's it exactly. It's a fear of imperfection. The thought of producing something that doesn't meet those impossibly high standards can be so daunting that it's easier not to start at all. The brain registers this as a potential failure, and its primary job is to protect us from negative feelings.
Right. So instead of writing a pretty good first draft of an essay, you write nothing because you're waiting for the perfect sentence to arrive. It's classic all or nothing thinking. If I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all.
And that avoidance provides temporary relief, which brings us right into our second reason: overthinking and cognitive load.
Ah, yes, analysis paralysis. An analytical brain is fantastic at seeing all the angles, variables, and potential pitfalls of a project.
All the angles.
But that strength can quickly become a weakness. When you can see 10 different ways to approach a task and you spend all your mental energy weighing the pros and cons of each, you never actually get around to doing the task.
It's so true. You want to plan the optimal path forward. Let's say you have to give a presentation. You might spend weeks just researching potential topics, falling down one rabbit hole after another, trying to find the absolute best subject instead of just picking one and starting the outline.
Exactly. Your cognitive load becomes maxed out by the planning phase. The brain gets overwhelmed by the sheer volume of choices and information. And the default response to being overwhelmed is to shut down and seek a simpler, more rewarding activity.
Which leads us perfectly to our third point: present bias and the brain's love of dopamine.
Let's talk about the brain's reward system. Present bias is a well-documented psychological principle where people tend to prioritize smaller, immediate rewards over larger, delayed rewards.
Totally. And our modern world is a minefield of immediate rewards. Finishing that report will feel great eventually, but checking your social media notifications, watching a short video, or reading a news headline feels good right now.
Right. Each of those little distractions delivers a tiny hit of dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical. When you're facing a difficult, complex task that's associated with perfectionism and overthinking, your brain sees an easy out. It says, hey, why struggle with this unpleasant feeling when we can get a guaranteed reward over here?
It's an emotional regulation strategy. Procrastination isn't just avoiding work, it's avoiding the negative feelings associated with that work. And intelligent people can be especially sensitive to these feelings.
So to recap, we're aiming for a perfect outcome. We're overthinking every possible step, and our brains are constantly being tempted by easy dopamine hits. It's a perfect recipe for procrastination. And this leads to a fourth, more counterintuitive reason: some people are actually addicted to the pressure of the deadline.
That sounds so contradictory. Why would anyone be addicted to the stress of a deadline? It seems counterintuitive to invite that kind of panic into your life.
It absolutely is, but it's tied back to our brain's reward system. When a deadline is looming, the body releases adrenaline and cortisol. For some, this stress-induced state creates a hyper-focused flow state where distractions fall away. The sheer urgency forces a decision and eliminates the paralysis of choice. But here's the good part: awareness is the first step to control. Now that we understand why it's happening, we can talk about some science-backed tactics to interrupt these patterns.
Okay, let's get practical. What's the first tactic?
The first one is simple. Lower the starting bar drastically. This is about fighting perfectionism with imperfection. I'm a big fan of the 5-minute rule.
I love that one. Tell us how it works.
You commit to working on a task for only 5 minutes. Anyone can do something for 5 minutes. The goal isn't to finish the task or even make significant progress. The goal is simply to start. What usually happens is that starting is the hardest part. Once you've begun, inertia takes over. It builds momentum.
Another way to frame this is to start messy. Give yourself permission to write a terrible first draft or create a clumsy first version. The pressure of perfection is gone, and you can just get ideas down. You can always edit later.
That's right. Tactic number 2 directly counters overthinking. Reduce decision friction.
Meaning, make the decisions before the moment you're supposed to act.
Exactly. Don't just put work on report on your to-do list. That's too vague and requires a decision. Instead, schedule a specific non-negotiable block of time. Say Tuesday from 10 to 10:30, I will write the introduction for the report.
This is so effective. It removes the what should I do now moment, which is where analysis paralysis kicks in and we reach for our phones. The decision is already made. You just have to execute.
And our final tactic helps fight the lure of immediate gratification. Use external constraints.
You mean deadlines, the ultimate procrastination killer.
Yes, our brains respond to urgency. A deadline, whether set by a boss or just one you set for yourself and tell a friend about, creates that necessary pressure. But you can also create mini deadlines. The Pomodoro technique is great for this.
Right. Work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. A simple timer can be your best friend. It gives your brain a clear finish line for the work session, which feels much more manageable than an endless task. And it promises a reward, the break, at the end. And that leads us to our fourth tactic, which is a personal favorite of mine: environment design. This is all about making your desired actions easier and your undesired actions harder.
That's a concept from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. The idea is that our willpower is a finite resource. Instead of relying on it, we should design our environment to make good choices effortless. For example, if you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to stop checking your phone, put it in a different room when you work.
Such a good strategy. So, to bring it all home, if you're a smart person who procrastinates, you're not lazy. Your brain is likely dealing with a combination of high standards, overanalysis, and a natural attraction to immediate rewards.
And the key is to work with your brain, not against it. Lower the bar to get started, reduce the number of in-the-moment decisions, and use timers and deadlines to create a sense of urgency and structure, along with being strategic about your environment design.
And those aren't just theories. They're small, practical shifts that anyone can start today. Well, that's our show for today. But before we go, we have a question for you. What's one task you've been putting off, and which of these tactics are you going to try on it? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
And if you found this interesting, click that subscribe button to catch the next episode on why humans do that, where we'll be exploring why humans reopen the same app over and over.
Guilty. Looking forward to that one. Thanks for listening. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. We'll see you next time.